It was 4 years ago today that the lives of Jose Compean and Ignacio Ramos were turned upside down. The Border Patrol agents were just doing their job, protecting our country on the border of Texas. They were trying to catch an illegal Mexican drug smuggler carrying nearly 800 pounds of marijuana in his van. When he tried to run away, Ramos and Compean shot him in the butt. He escaped and ran safely back over the border to Mexico, while Compean and Ramos were charged and convicted of assault with a deadly weapon and sentenced to 12 and 11 years in prison.
I gave chase to the drug smuggler. I gave him one command to stop, and that's when he turned and pointed a gun at me, and that's when I fired.
On January 17th, 2007, both former agents walked into the U.S. Marshals Service office in El Paso, Texas, to begin serving their time. Soon after, Nacho Ramos is beaten in prison after the case is broadcast on America's Most Wanted.
I'm speechless right now.
And the illegal Mexican drug smuggler? He goes and files a $5 million lawsuit against the federal government that his civil rights were violated. In April last year, the dirtbag with a sore butt pleads guilty to drug possession. His sentence, 9.5 years. Meanwhile, the wives of Compean and Ramos are still desperately trying to have their husbands set free. Both living as single moms now, Patty Compean had a baby that her husband has never known. In one of his last acts as president, George W. Bush commuted the sentence of Ramos and Compean. And a month later, they're finally home. Welcome home, Ignacio Ramos and Jose Compean. Monica, how great was it today?
Oh, it was wonderful. It's gone by pretty fast, so we can only hope the next 33 days go as fast.
Yeah. Now, Nacho is actually in the house. We found out he was supposed to be joining us tonight, and we found out at the last minute that he can't come on because why exactly?
Glenn, let me explain that. In essence, the Bureau of Prisons has restricted him from any contact with the press during the next 33-day period
David,
of time.
how is that possible? Why is it our government continues to... They seem to be in a pattern now to where they say, we're going to take away your freedom of speech rights. It's happened in 3 or 4 cases. How is that? We're not talking about jury tampering or anything else.
No, but they have the authority, at least until the sentence is discharged on March 20th, 2009, to impose whatever conditions they want. And although they don't even have to let him out to a halfway house or home confinement, they have at least agreed to do this 33 days early. And so I wasn't going to push the envelope and make a stink out of that. So in essence, Nacho is not going to have any contact with the press whatsoever.
Okay, now we're looking
It's
at...
just the way it needs to be.
We're looking at these pictures that this is you guys arriving at the airport. Monica, can you tell me how are the kids dealing with this? How's Nacho dealing with this?
The kids are just extremely excited. They've had a couple of minutes with their father here. It was really overwhelming for them. I think seeing was believing for them. They finally hugged their dad, and they know it's real. So, they're a little quiet. They don't know kind of what conversations to strike up with their dad right now. But in time, I think, soon we'll be beginning the healing process.
What were the first words that he said when he walked out of prison to you?
I love you, and he just embraced me.
Do you see any sense of, fear or relief in his... What do you see in his eyes when he walked out? I can't imagine. I thought about it all morning, walking out of being in solitary confinement for as long as he was, and walking out and still knowing that they can come in and grab you here in the next few days. What are you seeing in his eyes?
I'm seeing a great deal of relief, and let me tell you why. You put him in a solitary confinement, and he's not been used to the noise level, being around people, and it was just great to see him as I observed him walking through the airport and sitting down and having his first meal. It was just, he just looked around, and he just very appreciative, just looking around and just absorbing the environment that he was.
Glenn, we've asked the Supreme Court to review the convictions on the remaining counts that the Fifth Circuit had not set aside, because it's our goal to vindicate these gentlemen entirely and get them back on the job with law enforcement, which is what their dream and their goals and their careers have been.
Monica, I don't understand that. I mean, how can you be sold down the river by your own government? I mean, I just had Karl Rove on, and he didn't tie it to this at all, but I said, you know, I think we're dirty on the border. There is dirty stuff going on. Oh. And if I'm not mistaken, Gresh, am I mischaracterizing this? He said, yeah, he said, you're right, there are some problems down there. Why does he want to go back and be a part of, when you've spent almost 2 years in solitary confinement?
Well, he may not trust his government, but he loves his country, and he wants to serve, as he has done with honor and distinction in the past, Glenn. And that's what his career aspirations are, and hopefully we'll get him back both to that spot, if that's where they so desire.
Okay. Any plans to leave the house yourself, or you're staying along with the family as close to your husband as possible? He can't leave the house now, right, Monica? He's there until March 20th, can't leave. Right. Does he have an ankle bracelet?
Yes, he has. It has already been placed on him.
Is there any concern? You know, we found out just a little while ago that there are protests now unrelated to this. There are demonstrations on all of the bridges in the Texas area protesting military involvement on the other side of the border. There seems to be some uprisings going on there. What is the attitude towards your husband there in El Paso?
Well, actually, coming off the airplane, we saw a great deal of support. So I can only hope that that support will continue for him.
Is there any concern at all for either safety or the safety of your family?
I think we're taking every precautionary measure to ensure their safety, and we will continue to do so.
Good. Okay. Agent Ignacio Ramos, who, by the way, is he watching television right now at home? Do you know?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
I cannot wait to shake your hand, sir. I cannot wait to meet you face to face and shake your hand. Thank you for everything that you've done for this country. And just wait, because life is going to get good. Also, we have Texas Congressman Ted Poe. He is the first U.S. lawmaker to bring the case of the border agents to light in Congress. He spoke to Jose Compean on the phone today. Congressman, first of all, good job on everything that you've done on this case. You have carried an awful lot of water. I know I was on this case really early, and I backed off until your office called, because I said something's not right here. And this is when I still naively trusted our government. Something wasn't right. You called and said, Glenn, I'll tell you what's not right. We're getting lied to. Can you explain just a little bit quickly about the initial lies that you were in Congress were being told?
That's right. We were told that these two border agents went out that day to shoot an illegal, which is an absolute lie. We were also told that they knew that the drug dealer was unarmed. That is a lie. They both believed him to be armed. But most importantly, the U.S. Attorney's Office told us that there was no second case. The drug dealer didn't bring in drugs a second time. And when I got a copy of the DEA report, I figured out that that was a lie, too. So that's three of the main lies that they told us, and that's why I got involved. I think both of these individuals were political prisoners, and we want to get to the bottom of what the involvement of the Mexican government was in prosecuting these two guys.
You know, I believe there are dirty officials on our side. There are dirty politicians on our side. When we started looking into things, we got the media shut up like nobody's business down there, and I think they're all afraid of the cartels and everything, which I can understand. But then there was also something strange going on from the public officials down in Texas. They completely shut up. In fact, they would try to thwart us. They would do everything they could to discredit us from looking in to anything. Please tell me I'm wrong.
That's
that
correct.
There's dirty officials on our side.
It seems like there is a real problem on both sides of the border, including ours. And we haven't found out the answer to that yet. But this is the only case I've ever heard of where the U.S. Attorney's Office went on a nationwide Madison Avenue PR stunt trying to justify the prosecution of this case. And it just seems like there's a rat in the room, and we want to find it.